quick introduction about today's discussion. I really have so much to say about Cape Light Compact. I'm trying to compact it here into a couple minutes. We're here today with Cape Light Compact Administrator Maggie Downey. She's going to discuss the 2022-2024 Energy Efficiency Plan. As the world is kind of focusing attention on climate change, and we have the Climate Summit in Glasgow, the plan demonstrates how program administrators are going to provide Massachusetts customers the tools necessary to maintain the Commonwealth's position in really tackling critical need for reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. You've probably heard of Cape Light Compact. They support our community in so many ways. I've been on doing some things with Net Zero, the Climate Collaborative. They're a huge sponsor. I feel like everywhere I go related to energy and climate change and reducing costs and reducing how we use our consumption, Cape Light Compact is there. So I'm really excited to be here today and hear more about it. Cape Light Compact is operated by 21 towns on Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, and Dukes County. Their mission is to serve 200,000 customers, which I did not realize, through the delivery of energy efficiency programs, advocacy, and renewable competitive electric supply. And if you haven't seen your electric bill on Cape Cod lately, you're probably if you have seen it, you're thinking about competitive electricity prices. Maggie oversees Cape Light Compact's operations and programs. She's been working on energy-related issues since she joined Barnstable County in 1994. Became the assistant Barnstable County administrator and compact administrator in 97. Maggie has a master's degree in public administration from the University of Washington at Seattle and a graduate certificate in management from Harvard University Extension School. Maggie, you have been busy, and we really appreciate you taking the time today to kind of unpack this for us. And without further ado, I'm gonna let you take over, and I'll be watching the chat to see if there's any questions.
Great. Thanks, Dale. Thank you for that introduction. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Maggie. Dale gave my bio and background. I'm happy to be here. Dale, I just ask you to give me a heads up because I can talk about the Cape Light Compact till the cows come home. So, and I know not everybody has all day. So I want to, just a couple of points, and I want to make sure if somebody has a question, stop me at any time and I'll go over it. Because again, we've finally refer ourselves to our three-legged stool: energy efficiency, power supply, consumer advocacy. And the chat here this morning and why you all joined this Zoom call is to talk about energy efficiency and specifically the plan. So I'll start on that, but also if there are other questions, people can jump in. And you are watching the chat. I don't have to answer anything in the chat, correct, Dale?
I'm gonna watch the chat, and I'll give you some time checks at like 10:30, 10:45 as we get to the top of the hour.
Perfect, thank you. So as Dale said, the Cape Light Compact basically is the 21 towns on the Cape and Martha's Vineyard. We were created as an intergovernmental organization back in 1997, and then under the Baker Municipal Modernization Act, we reorganized a joint powers entity. So what does that mean? It means we are freestanding like a fire district or a water district. We have the ability to borrow, to sue and be sued, and all of the things that would come with an independent special district in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And that we formed in that in 2017. But we've been administering energy efficiency programs here on Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard since basically 2001. So we just finished our 20th year of delivering energy efficiency programs. And it started out really small. They were conservation programs going way back. We had a $5 million budget, and we served our customers, all customers, regardless of who you receive your supply from, are served with energy efficiency services by the Cape Light Compact. So as Dale said, there's over 207,000 electric accounts between Cape Cod and Martha's Vineyard, and we provide energy efficiency services to all of our electric customers. And our world changed in 2008 with the passage of the Green Communities Act, which basically said we had a $5 million annual budget, basically said to the Cape Light Compact and the investor-owned utilities, you're now going to be called program administrators. So you'll hear me refer to us as PAs or program administrators. energy efficiency is acknowledged that it is the cheapest source, cheaper than procuring electricity, building new power plants. So your first resource is energy efficiency because it's more cost effective than supply. So we are charged, starting in 2000, Passenger Green Communities, which much larger programs, significantly larger budgets, and going deeper and more comprehensive service to all of the residential and business, commercial and industrial customers here on the Cape and Vineyard. And that required filing 3-year plans starting in 2010. So starting in 2010, all the way up to this plan that we just filed, we file a statewide 3-year energy efficiency plan. It is a fully regulated and adjudicated program through the Department of Public Utilities. So world kind of significantly changed 2008. 2018, the Green Communities Act was updated, but the timing of that was right before these plans were filed. They were required by statute law to be filed on November 1st. That law didn't come into effect until the end of August of 2018. So those changes were almost too late for anything to impact the plan. But we had a Climate Act that passed last year, plus the 2018 amendments that significantly altered the world of energy efficiency. And that's what I want to just talk a little bit about today. And specifically what changed. Our charge prior to the Climate Act of 2021 was primarily saving kilowatt hours, reducing demand, reducing your energy consumption, which then leads to reduced overall electric bills, lower greenhouse gas emissions, but not a focus at that time, mostly on KWH, more increased comfort and more efficiently operating homes and businesses. 2021 set a new standard for the compact and all PAs in Massachusetts, because for the first time, we were given a specifically charged with delivering a greenhouse gas reduction target set by the Secretary of the Commonwealth. Like everything in life, nothing was perfect. We have also deadlines for filing draft plans. So we had to file our first draft of our Energy Efficiency 22 to 2024 plan April 30th. The Secretary didn't have to come out with the GHG reduction goals till July, middle of July, but she did, and she set a 504,000 metric ton goal of the energy efficiency plan statewide for electric PAs having to achieve. And when you simply look at our allocation based on our megawatt hours compared to everybody else, that boils down. We're about 4.8% of that state goal. So that's about 24,405 metric tons of GHG reductions that we have to deliver through these 3 years. And the focus and how you were going to achieve that quickly pivoted to and matches what we have as our draft climate, statewide climate plan, is electrification, specifically electrification of our 1 million residential properties in Massachusetts by 2030, and how many square feet? A significant amount of square feet, commercial square feet, also being electrified. And that is a daunting task to electrify our existing homes and businesses. And the compact board quickly embraced that proposal, set a very high stat level for how many homes we were going to electrify. And the directive to staff was to cease, and there was a very heated debate to not provide incentives for fossil fuel heating systems for our market rate customers in this plan. So they set forth a very ambitious climate goals. And that was what we presented to DPU as part of the 3-year plan. Another issue that I just want to make sure that you keep in mind is I'm a big supporter. I love the Climate Act and all of the goals that are set there, but they didn't give any additional funding to achieving these goals. And you will see pretty significant impacts on our electric bills, on the energy efficiency surcharge, A lot's happening. This also is conflated with lots happening in energy markets, which is not the subject of this conversation, but it's resulting, if you haven't gotten your new bill for 2022, it's going to be much significantly larger than your bill from previously for 2021, because one, we have to fund all of these programs through energy efficiency. No outside funding funds have been brought to the table to offset these costs. So just keep that in mind in the back of your head. So we filed the plan, we went through hearings, went through cross-examination, we filed briefs. The DPU by statute has to come out with their order by January 31st of 2022. And they did. And in that order, they had several things in there. They included denying certain programs, which we'll talk to about, approving certain things. And this is the first time that the DPU has actually had to even deal with or set greenhouse gas, greenhouse gas emissions targets. So they were working on that as well. The compact also proposed a very unique, we think, we are very conscious of electrification, moving customers off of oil or propane, electric resistance, or even natural gas, which we're going to put aside, onto high efficiency heat pumps. Great for the environment, but electricity prices are still high here on the Cape. And I don't see any window, based on what I've looked at for pricing long-term contracts, of that changing. We are at the end of the pipeline. I've looked at the wind pricing contracts. I've looked at a lot of natural gas for everything. Electricity is expensive. So the compact proposed something called the Cape and Vineyard Electrification Offering, which was, we wanted to focus on 250 deed restricted to low and moderate income homes, where we would move them off of oil, propane, or electric resistance heat. So this is primarily focused on the Vineyard and the Outer Cape. And we would take the technologies of heat pumps, solar PV, and battery storage. All three had to be paired together so that basically you were reducing that overall annual energy cost close to zero for that customer. They were heating with a high efficient, cleaner source of electricity. The PV system was sized, such that what they could put on their roof to match their load. They also had a heat pump for demand response, as well as resiliency. That was also included in our 3-year plan. So fast forward now to where are we right now? We got a very, very lengthy DPU order on January 31st. And the department denied the Cape and Vineyard Electrification Offering. So, the board had already, this is determined, and the board is appealing that decision, but they denied CVEO because they do not believe that we can use energy efficiency funds for solar installations. And there's lots of information on our website. You can read, our appeal will be there, you can follow along. But needless to say, that's their CVEO was taken out of the order. So we have to go through the courts to appeal it. But what they also did is they approved electrification. And we've got some very generous, I'm gonna get to those in a second, rebates for homeowners and businesses, but I'll talk mostly about homeowners who want to switch from oil, to heat pumps. And we've got some new programs for building all electric and net zero homes, which are really exciting. But they also overruled the compact board's decision to not offer fossil fuel incentives or for oil and propane for market rate customers. They said that, for any high efficiency system, anyone going to a high efficiency heating system, even if it is fossil fuel, needs to be provided an incentive. So that was a setback, I think, for all of the PAs. They also used a lower value for the social cost of carbon than what the program administrators were asking for. They went back to, it's like $123 a ton. We were asking for 300 and something a ton. And they said that the data didn't support it. So there were quite a few disappointing comments. They were particularly harsh for the Cape Light Compact's programs And again, if anyone doesn't believe that you could, who you guys, I'm sure, live in the world and breathe data, and I do too, as much as I say, I wish I didn't. They took a very specific metric on participation, which are large multifamily buildings, and said the compact wasn't performing compared to the rest of the state. And, our response is we're never going to be able to perform well because we don't have the same building stock as we don't have large multifamily buildings on Cape Cod. So, and they also, another key focus is about equity and serving our EJ communities and having very, very higher incentives specifically for renters and for low and moderate income customers. So before and that's what I want to talk about specifically electrification and what's available for customers. But do you want me to stop and answer any questions here, Dan, or keep rolling?
We don't have any questions yet, but I have a question. You were asked to come up with a plan, given a metric, not given money to implement the plan, and then they didn't like your plan. Is that what happened? Is that what I heard? Seems like a tall task.
It is a tall task. And one of the, if you are interested and want to read the order, it is on our website. It's about 340 pages. DPU said that we're at the upper limit of how much we can put on electric pills and specifically on electric ratepayers. So they kind of use that, which is a legitimate position to take. But they use that argument to knock back some of the more progressive things. But they were clearly denied CVO and our proposal to package 3 technologies, which we believe is allowed under the 2018 Green Communities Act. They denied that exclusively on saying that the law does not intend energy efficiency funds to be used for solar. So that was that issue.
We do have one question from Jed. Do you know why they denied it?
Denied CVO?
The solar. Why DPU denied solar?
Because they said that, I can almost quote it, I can quote it verbatim. They said that the law, which in the 2018 Green Communities Act amendments, allowed energy efficiencies to be used for technologies that encourage customers to switch to renewable technologies. That's right out of the statute. Our interpretation, after speaking with the people who drafted that language, so where the language and where came in the legislature, that it was to allow solar. The DPU interpretation is that is not what that means. It means that you can go from an oil furnace to a more higher efficient oil furnace, or like maybe heat pellets. And that's it. And they said, if the language was to be construed as CLC is proposing, that would enable a customer to install a wind turbine or a nuclear generated plant, which is a ludicrous, not a very legitimate conclusion. Practical. In my opinion, but that's their conclusion. So the answer is no, because solar, they do not believe solar is allowed under the law to be funded with energy efficiency funds. They also said that they quoted another statute that smart dollars, the smart incentive program, is what is to be used, and that's it. So that's where that will be appealed to the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. And that is and we are also working with our delegation to try and seek legislative relief and clarification of that section of the statute. So that's the strategy that the Compact Board is pursuing, because as I said, if you move a customer off of propane to heat pumps, they're going to save money. Anyone who heats with propane that's going to move to a heat pump, you're going to lower your overall energy burden throughout the year. If you heat with electric resistance, you will be better off on a heat pump for financial reasons, environmental reasons, GHG. If you heat with oil, it is right on the line. If oil goes above $2.80 a gallon for home heating oil, you'll save money. But it has been below 280 a gallon over the last couple of years, and it bounces. So you are potentially putting a customer, and it was for us, our concern is low and moderate income customers that heat with oil. But they can't be put on a higher energy burden. So that's a real issue which is why CVEO was established. It's move them to a high efficiency, better for the environment heating system, put the solar on, give them a battery, and they end up, it is a better home. And just, I don't know if anybody's on here from Habitat for Humanity, but the compact works with Habitat because that's the type of housing stock that they're building. They are building homes that heat with heat pumps, and we partner with them to buy the RECs so that they have some revenue to put solar, and they're moving, with battery storage. So they get, this is not rocket scientists, people get it. The issue is, how are we going to move our low and moderate income customers? What we don't want to see happen is have those that can afford to do this, do it, and then leave behind on any type of infrastructure our low and moderate income customers who could be then even facing higher bills to support any type of infrastructure costs that are there. So it's an issue. It's an issue that has to be addressed statewide. We believe we have a solution. We wanted to pilot it with 250 customers to see how it worked, but it really comes down to solar. The department has absolutely drawn a line in the sand about using energy efficiency dollars for solar. And that's where CVO died.
I think you struck a chord here with the group, Maggie, because the comments are rolling in now. So Brian asked a question in regards to the appeal, I think with the Mass Supreme Court. You mentioned, would an appeal be successful without an update to the 2008 Act?
Brian, if I was a betting man, I don't know that I would bet on the Cape Light Compact. It is the Supreme Judicial Court many of them have been appointed in the last eight years by the governor. The governor appoints the Department of Public Utilities commissioners. So we have a very high bar. We believe we are, so I don't think we have maybe 50-50 chance at the SJC. We're hoping that the Attorney General's office, new governor and new Attorney General's office will write briefs in support of this, because they all voted for CVEO. The Attorney General's office sits on the council that voted for this. DOER, the state, voted for this. It was the DPU that denied it. So we hope we'll have a lot of support, but the bench, as they call the SJC, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, is very deferential to department decisions. And we know that, but the board believes that this is the right thing to do.
Meanwhile, the clock's ticking for you, which I imagine that's not fun.
The appeal will be filed today and will be available on our website for anybody that would like to read it.
Awesome, thank you. Steve has a question. Steve Tom, when you were talking about the cost of switching, what if you heat with natural gas, hot water, baseboard heat? I think the question, Tom, is Steve, I'm sorry, is switching to a heat pump, or what if you have that type of a system? You said oil, depending on the price. Propane is a no-brainer. What about for gas, hot water, baseboard heat?
So Steve, natural gas, you are, until the landscape changes where we see a carbon tax, natural gas is still the most cost-effective and lowest cost way to heat your home. It pains me to say that, but it is in fact true. There will be a heating calculator available on the Mass Save website. It should be there next Tuesday. I tell you Tuesday, it might be there now, but they're demoing it so that you can actually take your own information and do your own analysis. But that is why we didn't focus on natural gas. we were focusing on oil, propane, and electric resistance for this pilot, because right now with the price of natural gas, it is, you're putting yourself in a higher energy burden. It is potentially the right choice to make for the environment. But again, the calculator, you'll be able to put in your own personal information and look at it that way.
Steve's got his hand up. I think he has a follow-up question. You're muted, Steve. There you go.
Yeah, no, hi, Maggie, Steve, Tom. Yeah, I have a situation where we're going to need to replace the gas boiler because it's on its last legs. So I really don't, despite the fact that gas is cheap or cheaper, I don't really want to continue to use fossil fuel. So I'm trying to find the smartest way to convert to heat pump and then go solar on our rooftop. But of course, there are limited financial incentives.
No, I want to talk about that. So let me put you right there. So you're teeing into the next piece of my conversation. So I'll answer that, and maybe that might address some other questions. So what's out there to help customers move? So let's take Steve. Another bad thing about about the order is you'll have to go through a national grid. So we kind of lost that battle also. So just a long story on the order. So Steve heats his house with natural gas, would like to electrify his home. So I'm going to assume that Steve wants to totally do a whole house replacement with with natural gas, moving to high efficiency heat pumps. So as a result, Steve will be eligible for, and what the incentive structure now is, a whole house of $10,000. So right. There is which is it's almost 3 times the incentive that was available in previous years. So his whole house replacement, he will be eligible for $10,000. High-end cost, depending upon the size of your house and a lot of other things, we're seeing could be as high as $25,000 if it's a large house, very complicated, and you want to go with ducts or and not mini splits. So the best thing to do is there will be a qualified, it's called a QPL, a qualified list of HVAC contractors that you can use to do this. Some of the requirements now under the order is you have to weatherize your home. Your home has to be fully insulated. So you have to call for a home energy assessment. So you can call the compact right now, or you can call the Mass Save 800 number and get in queue for an assessment. If you have already weatherized, that counts. We're not doing it, but we need to make sure that your home is fully weatherized and you get the $10,000 rebate. If you are a low or moderate income customer, and I want to put this up, but it's on our website. I know nobody can see it. It's probably too much, but let's just say that Steve is a retired school teacher. He retired 30 years ago, and 30 years ago, teachers didn't make a lot of money. So he might live on a really nice house. It's about your income. Steve's income is $39,000. It's only one person, he's a widow. So he's a low income customer, single head household. He is eligible for 100% of the cost of replacing that system to an electric heat pump. If Steve is, so anyone that is 60% or lower than the state median income, they're eligible for 100% of the cost. If you are between 61 and 80, and all of these income levels are on our website, and I don't need to give you the details, you are eligible from the Cape Light Compact for 80% of the cost of replacing your oil, propane, electric resistance to a heat pump. There's no cap on that. National Grid, they might cap it at 16. The Cape Light Compact is 80% of the installed cost. 100% if you're low income. If you're moderate income, it's 80% of the installed cost. So there's a significant amount of money coming to the table for rebates. This is a big issue, Jonna, for you out on the vineyard. It's a big issue for everyone out on the outer Cape that are on oil, propane, electric resistant heat for moving to this technology. If you have so whole house is 10,000, and a partial, remember, partial is less than, is slightly less. We're still doing 80% for the total cost for moderate income. And then there is a cap that's escaping me for moderate if you're doing a partial displacement. It is 80 for heat pumps, it's still 80% of the cost for a partial displacement. What does partial mean? It means that Steve is going to leave a portion of his system in, this existing system in there for backup or emergency use. So those are the incentive levels. These will all be on the Cape Light Compact's website. We're updating all of our forms. You know, we just had a contractor, an HVAC contractor. He said, I just signed 3 contracts in, you know, July. Am I eligible for these rebates? And the answer is yes, because we will honor these rebates. But remember, the key is weatherization. That came out of the department's order, which makes sense. I mean, why anybody would want to spend all this money, install a new heating system and not insulate their house is beyond me. But I guess there are people out there that move that way. But insulation, air sealing, weatherization is a requirement for that. So that was Steve's question. Are there any more questions on this before?
Yeah, we have a couple more questions. I had a question also. I believe MassSave is also giving a loan to people who need their panels upgraded to accommodate the heat pumps. Is that work into this also?
You just, so what Dale is talking about is the heat loan. Residential buildings customers are available for a 0 interest 7-year loan up to $25,000. And heating systems are eligible. Upgrading your electric panel is eligible. Solar, putting in a battery. If you already have solar and you want to install the battery, you can access the heat loan to install a battery, but no solar. You can't use the heat loan for solar. So again, heat loan can be used for your heating system, can be used for insulation, air sealing. It can be used for a battery. It can be combined if you've got to upgrade your electric panel. If you've got some homes still have knob and tube. If you need to upgrade that electric panel, you roll it all into your heat loan. If you, and just, I'll go into the weeds here, but if you are actually installing a heat pump, but you already took out a heat loan 5 years ago for 15 grand to insulate your home, you are able to go up to 50,000 because you're adding the heat pump. So you're no longer capped at that 25 if you're doing heat pump switch out.
There's a lot here. Really appreciate you.
I know there's some, I mean, that's what I said. I could just talk about heat pumps for hours or and other things, but do you have questions?
Yeah, we have some more questions. So stepping back a little bit. Hi, Fran. Fran has a question for us here. Is the DPU subject to citizen pressure? Can the law be amended given the urgency of the need? Thoughts about that?
So I would say no. The DPU is not subject to citizen pressure. They are the commissioners. There are 3 of them, and they are appointed by the governor. So we're going to have a new governor. So this commission is going to be replaced by your new governor. And I will tell you, I've been around a long time. I'm old, and I've seen the pendulum swing like this. I can remember when the Cape Light Compact was the favored child by the DPU. We could do anything we want. Then came, that was Patrick administration. Then came the Baker administration, and it swung the other way. And it will swing back, and that's just the nature of politics in mass. So you will have DPU commissioners that potentially don't have to enforce things that this commission said. But I will say one thing, is the DPU, when you as a citizen call the DPU, they do pay attention. And unfortunately, nobody ever calls the DPU to say, we want you to do more for the environment. We are okay with that charge on my electric bill. We think that you should do this. What they call to say is, my electric bill's too high. My heat pump stinks. I thought it was going to save me money. So those are that's who calls. So, you know, a kind of a takeaway, and this is, you know, Fran, we've talked about this in general. Sometimes when you need to call to say, they're doing a good job. I mean, there is a particular person who has been referenced in the DPU order that lives on the Cape, who doesn't like the compact, who constantly criticizes us. And he's, you know, he calls them and he communicates with them. And that's a great thing. I know, I'm glad he does that. You know, just like, but nobody else does that as well. So, you know, there needs to be a little balance there. So they're not subject to political pressure. But they do listen to people who call them. And I think most people don't call them unless they have a problem.
Probably like most customer service organizations.
Exactly. I mean, you know, do I ever call and say, hey, great job? No, I call when something happens. But just, you know, it's important to tell a good story as well as that. So that's a lesson learned, you know, lesson learned.
Fran has her hand up. Fran, I think you might be muted, but what do you have for us?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so just following up on that comment, Maggie, you know, if you can help us with some messaging, we would be more than willing to get the word out. We have 3,000 members and you know, start a steady drumbeat to, you know, promote the things we want to promote.
Well, thank you, Fran, and we'll do. The compact has been, we've had a staff member who's done a great job, but he moved into another position and had to maintain our marketing. So we just brought in a new marketing person, so we'll be able to do that. I saw a comment about generators and heat loans. A generator is a gas-fired generator, and that is not eligible for a heat loan. A battery, because it has a demand response capability, as well as providing some backup for a solar, is different. A gas-fired generator, a whole house generator by Generac or any of those, no, that is not eligible. And again, it's using a fossil fuel technology.
Okay, thank you. There's a kind of a two-partish question from Kristen Marshall. Hi, Kristen. So comment here, maybe looking for validation. So any CLC incentives for market rate customers to switch from oil heat to heat pumps, is that dead? You said that depending on the price of oil, it may not make sense. Are the incentives dead for those oil customers?
It is not dead. So you still have the same rebates I talked about for the Steve Tom example, Kristen. So if you've got an oil heat, if you heat your home with oil, you can do and your, you know, low income going to be 100%, moderate income is going to be 80% of the cost, install cost. And if you're doing a whole house replacement, it is $10,000 that you would be eligible for to replace your oil heating system. And if you're doing a partial, all my notes, I've got so many rebates, I'm going to get back to you, Kristen, on the amount of what the partial replacement for a market rate customer. So if they say you want to leave your oil heating system in, because there may be times when you want to use it just for economic reasons, I'll let you, if we keep talking, I'll get to you on what the rebate amount is for partial displacement.
Great, thank you. Second part to that, do you expect the 10K rebate to expire or go away anytime soon?
No.
Is it part of the 2-year plan? Is this something that we'll see?
It's approved for 3 years.
Okay.
It's approved for 3 years. And because our goals are so ambitious, I can't imagine that going away. I can't imagine that going away at all, even in the next 6 years till we reach 2030. But if I'm wrong, but it's got 3 years, that is our rebate.
Awesome, thank you. 10:45 here, we've got about 15 more minutes. I had a question. I'm just curious. So outside of my house, I have this dinky little electric pole that lights on fire a couple times a month, and someone comes and sprays something and it goes away. Do you think, can our infrastructure in a lot of these like little communities handle if people are switching from gas or oil to electric? Well, could there be a point where people were like, I think you said National Grid might say, this street has, we can't do any more on this street, you're done. Do we have to worry about those kind of things or think about those?
So interestingly, and we're switching to my consumer advocacy hat. Eversource just filed a rate case. Compact has asked for intervenor status and to look at exactly that issue. There's a major a capital plan for the Brewster Harwich area. There's one in Falmouth. So those are the questions that we're actually digging into right now over whether or not Eversource's infrastructure is equipped. I got asked a specific question on Cross by the department on that very issue. And because Eversource has invested a significant amount of money on the Cape in upgrading. So I don't think it'll be an issue. One of the things that we're very concerned about, and I have to reach out to my Vineyard town managers and others, is I didn't see anything about any upgrades on the Vineyard, and the Vineyard is a grid constrained area. They walked away from the battery project to do a third cable, but I didn't see anything in their rate case on a third cable. So that's something that we're going to be asking them about. So Dan, partial replacement, oil heated home, what's the rebate?
Partial displacement, 1,250 per ton.
Average house going to be $5 grand, $3 grand?
For the rebate?
Yeah.
Probably closer to $3 grand.
Okay, so in case anyone didn't hear Dan Shell, if you're partially displacing, it's going to be on average $3,000 for your oil and propane. Significant difference from your $10,000 whole house rebate. Thanks, that was the one thing I couldn't do it. So thank you. It's a good thing we're in the office and we're all here. So Kristen, I hope that helps.
There's no other questions right now. So folks, please, we've got 13 more minutes here. Maggie's here to help explain this, answer any questions we have. I'll fill in here with a question that I had written down earlier. The QPL, the qualified contractor list, where can we find that if we're thinking about this change? And if there's someone in the group here who is a contractor, how can they participate being on the list?
So the QPL list will be on our website, and you just go to capelightacompact.org, energy efficiency, home, each drop-down menu, there's a search bar, and you can find QPL. We are refining it right now. Again, this order just got approved, so I'm going to say that I'm not sure if that it's up to date. That Dan, that was just here. Dan is does all of our retail and rebates. So we work with almost all the contractors on the Cape are on that list. We're trying to get, Vineyard is one of our hard to reach, hard to serve. That's a general other comment that I wanted to take away for all of you. We have 6 towns on the Vineyard and then Provincetown, Rich, where we have very low participation rates in our programs. And it's because they are high second homeowners, high wealth. And they may only be here. And some of the homes in Edgartown are only used for a couple of weeks a year. They're not calling Cape Light Compact or Mass Save when they're here for those 2 weeks. So we're going to have to be doing some very unique outreach strategies on how do we access those programs and how do we engage that population, because they stick out like a sore thumb that it looks as if we're not serving them. So that is so we've got a very different challenges depending upon our towns and communities, but Provincetown, 6 towns on the Vineyard, very hard to engage the non-year rounders. The 15,000 people that live here year round, yes, but the other premises that are out there are hard to engage. So just, it's not all sunshine and lollipops and roses. Compact has, we have work to do. And, we work really hard, but we're our community-based organization. And ultimately we rely on our community to help things work, whether it's our main street. And I just talked about residential. I didn't even get into commercial and small businesses and serving micro businesses. And so we need the community to promote these programs, participate in these programs, and say what's working and what's not working. And that goes back to like Fran's, if my community says we need this type of incentive, and the DPU keeps telling us no, then we need to organize around how do we get that. If it's not through the department, how do we do it legislatively? Because ultimately, and I say this all the time, these are our funds. I pay every month, you pay every month. We wouldn't, we were created to be responsive to our communities. Otherwise, why are we here? You just turn these programs over to the utilities and let them do what they do everywhere else. And we 20 years, you kind of, in 20 years, so much has changed. We have energy committees now, we have climate committees. And, the compact has been here through all of that. And we need to make sure that we communicate, we collaborate, and we're all rowing in the same direction. We just need to make sure we're in sync. And it's really important, because without all of you, we're not going anywhere. And I want to make sure that I need you as much as maybe you need me, but I need you more. I need you more to participate, to promote, and to collaborate on these programs.
I think that's a great call to action, because the compact has been so supportive of the community. This is like a really great trumpet sound. So for everybody who has especially for us as a business news organization, to kind of reach out now and say, okay, we're here. What can we do to help? So I would encourage anyone else. I see some other membership type groups here. It would be really great if you wanted to get involved and help Maggie out here.
And John, I saw your question come in. The answer is yes. On the Oil Island Climate Week in May, I'm going to be over there. We're doing an appliance turn-in event. We'll have our booth there for people to sign up for audits. I'm going to do a couple presentations at the senior centers and the libraries talking about the program. And I've done that for years. COVID put a little kibosh on that. I think actually my last live meeting was in Aquina in February before 2020. That was the last time I was live. But again, that's going to be in May. So John, the people that go there are going to be the people that live year round. So it'll be good to let them know about the new programs, but we still have to strategize with that group after we get beyond that. How do we reach the people who aren't showing up? So I don't have a solution. I just know I need you guys. It's not going to be a Maggie Downey Cape Light Compact fix. It's got to come from the grass. You guys have to do it. We have to do it together.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you have come out, Maggie, for different faith things that we've held, and it's good to see you again. We're going to have a whole interfaith thing at the Climate Week at the fair there at the end of the week. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing, thank you for that. And again, I could literally talk for years. We will be offering 12 of our 21 communities are environmental justice communities. We are going to be offering grants to partner with the town and the interfaith communities, climate action committees, for dollars to promote engagement. It's the community, we might tailor it a little bit, but it's the municipal community partnership. And so we got approved grant funds, and it could be this group. It could be the Tech Council. It doesn't have to be, an environmental group. But again, the purpose of the grant is to partner with those 12 towns to reach low, moderate income, limited English proficiency residents and businesses to participate in these programs and to get the word out. So that's really exciting. And then there's dollars available. We're now working on all of those applications, and and it's going to be every year. So it's not just one and done. It's ongoing for the next 3 years. We will be investing, which we've never been allowed to do before. It was always like, does this measure save energy? Is it cost effective? It was just like, it didn't fit in this box. We couldn't do it. So that is, good news thing that came out of the, that the DPU approved, is a recognition of equity, environmental justice, and the need to be able to have local initiatives come up that way.
Thank you. I'd love to learn more about that another time. Who should I talk to, you or?
Johnny, you can connect with me. I've at my, my email address. So anytime anyone has any questions on that, you can, it's mdowney@capelightcompact.org. You can reach out to me. When we put it out, I will access Fran, I'll make sure it goes on your network. It'll go out to the towns through the Tech Council. The more we get the word out, I mean, it would be great to have it be competitive, but it would also be great to get some of the dollars into your organizations. But again, it's specifically targeted at 12 communities. All 6 vineyard towns are on there. On the Cape, it's going to be Yarmouth, Harwich, Falmouth, Eastham, Dennis, Chatham, Bourne, Barnstable. So those are our Cape towns, and then all 6 on the vineyard.
Thank you, Maggie. Sorry, I muted myself. I was paranoid. I was echoing. Jane asked a question in the chat here, and she's giving us a little signal. Jane, what do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, Maggie, I just wonder, it seems to me that the whole mindset of being a green community should be able to facilitate everything you're trying to do. I just wondered if the difference in being a green community on the Cape gives the towns any ability to help their low and mid-income residents access your plans. There's still a few towns, a couple towns at least, that aren't green communities. I know that tends to focus on other issues, but to me, it's kind of the whole mindset of, if you're a green community, you should also be pointing your residents toward your types of programs that you're discussing with us today. Thanks.
That's a great comment. And Margaret Song, who many of you know, works really closely with all of our green towns that are green communities, helps them achieve green community status. And part of this, some of the things that we have to focus on is better utilizing some of the towns and their skills. Maybe we need to insert something into the tax bills or the water bills that encourage people to participate in the energy efficiency program. So, the compact is going to be pivoting and rethinking how to get the word out as well. So, but we do work very closely with the Green Communities Act towns, green community towns, those towns that maybe are going to adopt the new stretch code that will get. So there's a lot that we're already partnering with, and there's a lot to do. And again, I guess, my message to all of you is, as I said before, I really need your help. I look to your help to help us administer these programs. And, we're willing, we want to work together with everybody to make sure that we get there. And that people hear the good stories as well. I will be the first to acknowledge that I'm far from perfect. We make mistakes, I make mistakes, but that's how you learn. And ultimately, I need to hear from all of you about what's working and what's not working, and what we need to do.
Perfect. That is a great way to kind of, we're up on the hour here. We've got a couple comments that I just want to address real quick. Dorothy Savaries, hi Dorothy, has an outpouring of support. We've got for the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative, also Fran and Rich Delaney, who's going to be also speaking in April. They're offering through the chat here to help in any way possible. And you can see in the chat there, they've also listed their website for anyone else is interested. But I think, this has really been eye-opening for me. I just kind of assumed you were off doing your thing and things are great. But it's really, I don't want to say it's refreshing. It's eye-opening, I guess, to hear, that there's a struggle with this, and, you're soliciting this feedback and looking for support. I think that's really amazing. And I hope folks here will take this to heart and take some kind of action for this.
It's kind of like the internet, that it's the last mile that is going to be the hardest. It's like broadband. the last getting our hard to reach, hard to serve customers, which are very different. It's going to range from your limited English proficiency, low and moderate income, and the very wealthy. Because we've done a lot of good work in 20 years. It's getting now we're pivoting. Now I'm telling people it's not only a high efficiency oil system, maybe you need to get rid of that oil system. So it's an ever changing technology. The other thing, and I think just to throw out there, it ties into housing and jobs. We're always looking for good staff. In my mind, the younger, the better. They're smarter. They work to give you 200%. So always challenging, even mid-career, end of career. We're always looking for good staff. So when we do have, job openings, spread the word. So I just use this as a way to get the word out about bringing in good staff. We've been very fortunate so far. AmeriCorps, Mass Maritime Academy, we'd be lost without them. But again, good staff is always a challenge. Get people, especially younger and people to stay on the Cape.
Awesome, thank you. What a great way to end today's Q&A. Thank you, Maggie. That was wonderful. We know you're super busy. Really appreciate you taking the time.